Should you buy Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2021? It has been almost 3 years since the groundbreaking and revolutionary release of Red Dead Redemption 2. The game was one of the most anticipated games of the last generation, being 8 years since Rockstar Games had released Red Dead Redemption 1 on 6th generation consoles. The hype and anticipation surrounding the game was huge in a year of blockbuster PS4 exclusives and all-around incredible games. However, Red Dead Redemption 2 was able to live up to its anticipation, and it was received well from both critics and fans of the franchise alike. That being said, is Red Dead Redemption 2 still worth buying in 2021? Today we'll be talking about the narrative of Red Dead Redemption 2 as well as its gameplay and open world. There's obviously not going to be any spoilers for the game's narrative in this part of the video, and all I really will do is just go over the premise of the narrative that Red Dead Redemption 2 is trying to deliver. Red Dead Redemption 2 is set in the year of 1899 in the dying breaths of the outlaw Creed. You play as the protagonist, Arthur Morgan, a man who's part of one of the last few outlaw gangs left in the expansive land of America, the Vandalin gang. Arthur is the right-hand man to the gang's leader, Dutch Vandalin, and has been in the gang almost since its inception. So what you're able to gather from the first few minutes of the game is that the Vandalin gang, after a botched ferry heist, had to leave all their money behind and had to flee their camp to get away from the Pinkertons and the law that is behind them throughout the entirety of the game. The protagonist, Arthur Morgan, at the forefront doesn't seem to be that much of an interesting character, and instead feels like a generic Wild West protagonist, but that's what it seems like at a surface level. Through the development of the game's main story, Arthur also develops and becomes a much more plausible and compelling character, and the different notions that he goes through due to events that play out according to the story is phenomenal. Rockstar Games was able to create a one-of-a-kind protagonist, a protagonist that truly feels human. Arthur doesn't have the ability to magically change the dire situations he's in, and this makes him all around feel more real and more human. Whatever event that changes the path of his life isn't reversible, and he must live with the mistakes and evil that he commits along the way to his ultimate redemption. Of course, without any spoilers, Red Dead Redemption 2 is an incredible story of an outlaw gang who aren't able to see that their way is gone and that it is outdated, that their time is finally over. Arthur is the one that recognizes this fault in the outlaw ideology, and through the development of him and his fellow comrades, as well as the game's main plot, we see a shift of ideological standards from Arthur and some of his comrades as well, as they see the truth behind the sickening thought of civilization and the conclusive way to the end of the outlaw traditions that had been prevalent for so long in an old and forgotten conception of America, the Wild West. There would be a lot more to talk about, but I'm of course trying to avoid spoilers. However, overall, Red Dead Redemption 2's story is definitely the propelling factor in what makes it such a great game, and it is the main focus of the game, and it easily is one of the best narratives that has been meticulously crafted by Rockstar Games. For me personally, it is easily one of the greatest and deepest video game stories that I have experienced, and the development of every character and of the game's story in its entirety is truly something to behold, especially in the time where an amazing story in games isn't as prevalent as it once was. Although Red Dead Redemption 2's story is the main focus of the game and its best factor, that doesn't mean the gameplay isn't as great or immersive as the plot. There's many factors within the game's gameplay and world that makes it such a phenomenal and unexpected experience. Firstly, the game's world is simply, in lack of a better word, unparalleled to any other world in the gaming space. The open world is incredible. It has been masterfully crafted, and the world itself feels like a real one that is bustling with life and vitality. Every environment within the game has been handcrafted to the uppermost levels of perfection, from the intricately crafted environments that expand across the world to the interesting and large variety of people and characters that dwell upon it. The expansive and limitless nature of old Western America is one of the world's best factors, utilizing the historical conventions associated with the time period to create a world that accurately reflects the notions of history. The world has so many details and events that make the world ultimately feel alive, from the many little details that are spread across the world, such as missions with strangers, helping others in the open world, to the wildlife and natural settings of the world that makes this world truly feel like no other. This, paired with the stunning visuals that has now become the standard for video game blockbusters and the realistic and beautifully crafted sound design, also helps contribute to why the game's world feels so vibrant and alive. The attention to detail in every single aspect of the game's world will leave you dumbstruck and shows the effort and passion that the team at Rockstar Games had put all those 8 years of development into the game. The NPCs are also well made and is now the standard for creating NPCs in games, with each NPC being unique and handcrafted, making you think about your surroundings and every action you do in the game due to the them being so detailed, and ultimately they also feel human in a world that reflects our own. Every piece of dialogue, every action, every choice that you make throughout the entirety of the game, to strangers in the game, to random NPCs, all has its own consequences and outcomes that make you think about everything twice before you do it. Fishing and hunting have been crafted to adhere to the sensations of realism, with the realistic animations for skinning and fishing feeling awesome in the game when you just want to relax. Creating bonds with all these characters and with the world itself is simply stunning, and is something that can only be really done in a video game through Red Dead Redemption 2. All of these awesome factors that make this world one of the greatest open worlds ever crafted in gaming is made even better through the diminishing of fast travel almost completely. Sure, there are ways to fast travel, but they aren't widely utilized or encouraged by the game itself, which in itself makes the open world even greater, and this adds another sense of realism to a world that already feels so alive. Then there is the combat and other gameplay mechanics of Red Dead Redemption 2. The gameplay of the game in general. Red Dead Redemption 2 gives the player the ability to utilize so many realistic gameplay mechanics, as well as the ability to do normal human things. Red Dead Redemption 2 allows you to go hunting, go and drink at a bar, and interact with the various members of the Van Villain gang. The gameplay is only accelerated by the beauty and richness of the game's many activities, and this makes it a one-of-a-kind in the open world genre. It has been able to revolutionize the tropes and conventions that are usually associated with open world game designers, and has created truly stellar gameplay mechanics. The combat, which isn't too revolutionary in its own sense and is nothing really out of the ordinary with gun combat or hand-to-hand combat, but this helps it become truly amazing. Utilizing many different weapons and approaches that were used in the historic times of the Wild West, such as revolvers, pistols, rifles, shotguns, bolt action rifles, among so many other weapons and tools, makes the gameplay so versatile in nature and makes it truly awesome. The combat simplicity opens the door for it to be a combat system that is immersive and realistic, but also challenging. But the utilizations of the combat's main mechanics makes the system of its combat something of a hard to master deal, which makes it incredible, and it for me is some of the most fun and immersive gun combat that I have ever experienced. The free roam gameplay is next, and is one that you'll be engaging with quite a lot during your playthrough, and this is due to the game's stellar world being definitely one of its main selling points. The main way to traverse the expansive world is on horseback, meaning that you'll be able to spot every single detail in the world, unlike in games where you're speeding past landmarks and such, because Red Dead Redemption 2 makes sure that you notice its complexity, and this is extremely enjoyable. Riding next to the crystalline flowing rivers of Red Dead Redemption 2, through the many forests in the game, through the exhilarating deserts and wastelands of the game, to the snowy and hard to traverse mountains in the game, and to finally the vibrant and lifeful towns of Red Dead Redemption 2. Every one of these environments offer their own activities and things to do, making each part of the expansive world worth exploring. Go to a gunsmith and pick up new guns for later endeavors in the game. Rob a clerk with a bandana on, grabbing the money and subsequently running from the waves of lawmen coming your way to collect your head. Go to a doctor and get yourself some herbs that will heal you and your horse. Or go to the post office, paying off the hefty prices of your bounties. There's just a limitless amount of opportunities in the worlds of Red Dead Redemption 2, and the activities truly seem limitless in nature. The dynamic weather system creates layers of utter realism, adding to the ultimate immersion and beauty of the world, in which the world rains, snows, has a windy day, thunder striking, or the sun and moon shining across the expanse of Western America. Go hunting to experience true realism in a game where you crouch and track the footsteps of a wild beast, utilizing different weapons to be able to get the best meat possible. Skin the animal with hundreds of different animations for skinning different animals. Set up a camp and cook this meat over a campfire, or donate it to your camp to feed the whole camp. Go fishing and listen to the chirping of birds and the splashes of the rivers. All of it adds another sheet that tops of the immersion and realism that is quite evident in this game. Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay and open world are able to create an illusion of utter realism in a fictional setting, and the world truly feels like a real one. The game revolutionizes open world design as well as open world gameplay, and it lands itself as one of the most immersive and beautiful video game experiences to date. So yes, you should absolutely buy Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2021, even 3 years after its incredible and groundbreaking release. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope I was able to convince you to buy this fantastic video game masterpiece. Let me know what you think about Red Dead Redemption 2 if you've already played it down in the comments below, and let me know whether you bought the game because of this video. Anyway, that's all from me for today's video. Peace.